Hello everyone. Welcome to the first Stottsville Story. I'd like to thank both of you for coming out, which was my original speech, because I thought it was just going to be me and my wife. But so happy to see you here today. Just a quick reminder of what this is all about. It's 5-minute stories. These should be true as you remember them. The subject is beginnings. And we will pull the names from the hat. We have enough for the first half, but we need the rest of you to drink copious quantities of alcohol and be ready for the second half, because we need to do more stories then. It's a 5-minute story. I will go first, because I'm a couple of hours ahead of you. And after 5 minutes, if you're going on too long, you will hear this. And if you go on another minute, you'll hear this. And that means it's 6 minutes and you really should be wrapping up. But no pressure. This is all a family event. A lot of us know each other. And there's no reason to be embarrassed or nervous about doing this. Although I am. But I hope to do this every 4th Tuesday of the month, going forward, probably through May, and then have a big finale in May and take the summer off. But that's pretty ambitious. We haven't done one yet. So who knows, maybe nobody here next week or next month. So I'm going to go first, but I have to give the bell to my wife. Okay. And Mariam, is my beer up there? Really? Yeah.
Oh, wait.
I got my story.
And if you need to do a look to camera, it's just up there on the monitor. So here's my story about beginnings. And it's really about my beginning. How I was born and what came out of that. Because I was born in a small town in England called Abingdon, which then was in Berkshire. They moved it to Oxfordshire later. But Abingdon was famous for 3 things. One is that it's the oldest continually inhabited settlement in the whole of England. And number 2 is that it's the home of the MG car. And number 3 is that it's the home of Morlands and Old Speckled Hen Ale, if you're a beer drinker. And number 4 is the home of me. But I was born in a little cottage hospital called the Warren. And my brother and sister, who had been born in India because my parents met there during the war, and they were from the north of Ireland and a mixed marriage and didn't feel they could go back, they used to tease me relentlessly about being born in a rabbit warren, because it was called the Warren. But I kind of liked the fact that it was called the Warren. It kind of made me feel warm and fuzzy. But in those days, having a baby was very different to having a baby today. I mean, I know this. For one thing, the father didn't attend the birth. My dad used to go to work every day on a bus. He worked for the Atomic Energy Commission. The buses would go around the town and take him to Harwell, where they had a research establishment. At 8 o'clock and at 5 o'clock he would come home. We didn't have a car. We didn't have a phone. So when I was born at 2 minutes past midnight on a Wednesday, at 7 o'clock he got a telegram delivered, even though the hospital was only 2 miles away. And, you know, Molly, for you and your friends, a telegram is like a text message, but a little man brings it to you, and you can't do smiley faces. So he sent a telegram back saying he would come and see the baby after work. But their best friends were Squadron Leader Dick Dixon and his wife Eileen. And Dick was a bit of a rogue. Dick was the sort of guy who would go through a toll bridge. And our little community had very small humpback bridges where a man would sit with a hut and a pole and charge you the equivalent of a nickel to go through it. And he would be the sort of guy who would go up to the toll bridge, he would pay his 5 pence, and then he would say, and I'm paying for my friend behind me. And then he would speed off, and the next guy would come up, and the guy would say, "Oh, your friend paid for you already." And he'd go, "What friend?" He'd go, "Your friend up there, he just paid your toll." So the guy would go charging after Dick to try and see who his friend was. And Dick would let them get close enough, and then he would speed up again so they couldn't catch him. He had a Jaguar. And then slow down again. And sometimes they followed him all the way back to RAF Abingdon, because they wanted to know who this person was who paid their toll. But on this day, he came to see my mother and me at the hospital, and the sister there told him, "I'm sorry, but only the husband is allowed to see the baby, and only once." And Dick said, "Well, that's too bad, because I may not be the husband, but I am the father." And so the sister went and consulted with the matron, and the matron decided, however disgusted she was, that he should be the one to see the baby. So Dick went in to see the baby, and when my dad showed up from work, about 6 o'clock in the evening, he wasn't allowed to see me. The matron said, "I'm sorry, but the father's already been in to see the baby." So he had to wait 5 days, because they didn't kick you out in 24 hours back then. He had to wait 5 days until I got home before he could see me. So that's the story of my beginnings. But a postscript to that is that about 5 years later, Dick and Eileen had a niece who was born to her, and they became her godparents, just like they were my godparents. And I met her when she was 16, and we wrote to each other for about 5 years, and then we got married. And she's sitting right here. So without that beginning, I may not be here today. Thank you.